Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal, and as Hogwarts Legacy is releasing today for everyone who bought the standard edition of the title, I wanted to prepare this handy guide so you can be up to date about everything in the game, so you don't miss out. First off, let's go through houses, one of the most important things in the wizarding world and Hogwarts. A big decision if you will choose Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff or Slytherin. Well, it doesn't matter too much, besides, well, your common room being different and meeting certain characters in different times of the game, depending on which house you choose, but personally I haven't seen a big difference, at least gameplay wise, so it doesn't matter all that much. You can still be the character you want to be and use unforgivable curses if you choose to pursue that path. So choose whatever you personally feel you like, you won't miss out on anything huge if you choose one house over the other. Now let's go over the map. As you can see, you have three maps: Hogwarts, Hogsmeade and World Map. Each part of the world or location will have a few things for you to pick up, like for example you see right here, chests, field guides, demi-guides and so on. Each section of the map will have flue flames that you unlock by passing next to it. This works like a standard fast travel and you can move around, however you want from anywhere on the map. Hogsmeade will be more oriented towards shops where you can buy most of the stuff you will need for your character, but on the outside in the world map you will have a few things to watch out for, like Merlin trials, caves, treasure vaults, bandit camps, spider lairs and so on. You can go and clear out for different rewards. I do recommend clearing these out because you get traits from chests that you can use for your gear, but more on that later. You also have these hamlets, like small villages, that will give you side quests, so go and explore, and some shops will be there as well for you to pick up some stuff like some items. Exploration really is the key in this game if you want to unlock, new things or even just cosmetic items for Transmog. Next up, let's talk about gear. So level wise, everything you do in the game will give you experience, pretty much, so you will level up whatever you do in the game. In your gear tab, we can see 6 slots for items, pretty standard RPG stuff, and quality of items goes from common to legendary. Legendary items usually give you a trait with the item like I have, where cursed enemies get more damage. But we can change that, and on top of that you can also upgrade each item 3 times. Each item you pick up is added as a style in Transmog, so you can switch how you want to look in the game. Keep in mind Transmog is tied to an item, not the slot, so each time you change an item you have to Transmog again. Kinda dumb, but I hope it will be patched. And on the side we can see wand handles that you can get by exploration and stealing from houses, finishing some quests and so on. And each item will add up to health, defense and offense, as you can see here. Each gear limit is usually from 20 to 25, so keep that in mind. You will have to sell your gear a lot. You don't want to keep those items because if they're not strong enough, they will just be in your inventory and do nothing, and your inventory is going to fill up a lot, or well, your gear slots are going to fill up a lot because inventory does not store gear items. So you can have, as I said, from start 20 up to 24, which is not really a lot, so keep selling. Next up, let's talk about talents. So as you progress through the main story, you will be able to apply talent points to 5 categories: spell, dark arts, core, stealth and room of requirement. Keep in mind, upgrades for spells will unlock after you learn the spell and reach the level, like here for example, level 5, 16 and 22. My advice is not to invest into stealth all that much. I honestly had 0 issues taking out enemies with just regular stealth spell without upgrades or anything else. I would rather spend that into dark arts, spells or core. One great starting upgrade is Accio Mastery, which will pull more enemies which are grouped together towards you, so you can then for example use Incendio to set them on fire at the same time. But everything else is pretty much tied to your playstyle and how you want to build up your character and which spells you want to use. Collections tab pretty much writes down things you meet, see, destroy, pick up and so on. But it will also give you info about enemies and what weaknesses do they have. This is a must if you're playing on harder difficulty and have issues with enemies. Each one has a weak spot. Sometimes it's not too obvious, but it works. Like for example, Duckbug. When you see their tongue attack, you can Levioso it, so you basically raise the animal by their tongue. or on their belly, and then you can, for example, strike with the Findo to slice it up and deal more damage and so on. Challenges tab is for people who like collecting stuff, so anything you do will fill up progress bar, and each section of each tab will give you something, usually cosmetic stuff, but also inventory expansion, different brooms and traits you can apply on your gear. Like even doing the main quest or side quest will give you something, or collecting stuff in the wild, like field guide pages. The more you do, well, the more you're going to unlock. Field guide pages, for example, can be found with Revelio. You will hear an audio cue if it's near, or you will need to use fire or Levioso or whatever in this case, but if you scan it and if it's light blue, it means it can be used in some way. Just keep that in mind. Whenever it's light blue, it means it's going to be a point of interest. When it comes to questing and progression, my advice is to do side content and unlock all spells whenever you have a chance. More spells means better combat, and keep in mind also some locations when you go out and explore will require you to have certain spells so you can do some stuff without me spoiling the game. Gathering is also a huge thing in the game. Don't buy potions, don't buy stuff, make it and gather it. So if I were you, I would do main quests until you unlock Room of Requirement, and then focus on exploring stuff, you know, left and right, because then you get access to making potions that will be beneficial for you. So anything you gather in the world can be used here. Crystals like moonstone, for example, crystals are used for conjuring objects, so always grab them if you see them. Now let's talk about Room of Requirement, which is going to be your base of sorts that you can combine, change however you want, just standard base building. So my biggest advice is to get a potting station, both small, medium and large, one where you can, and buy all of this in Hogsmeade in Tomes and Scrolls, because we will be needing to plant some stuff later on. When you plant stuff and it grows, you will be able to make potions, and potions will need some time until they're made, going from 15 seconds to a normal health potion to a minute or so depending what it is. My advice is get Maxima potion for damage, Edurus potion for armor, and Thunder Brew, which can be useful if you're fighting more enemies, because that potion is going to give you some passive attack on enemies and is going to do some damage. But of course any potion is useful. I think Invisibility 1 is the potion I use the least personally. Later on I suggest buying a few things, like for example Material Refiner, which produces moonstone crystals for conjuring stuff, so you always get some extra materials, 10 crystals in like 10-15 minutes. You can also get the hopping pots, which will generate a random potion every 12 minutes or so, and a chopping station, which produces random ingredient every, I believe, 10 minutes or so. Besides that, you also have composters, which produce compost that you can use in a plant for a bigger yield. Very useful. When it comes to loom, this will be used for upgrading and enchanting gear with different traits. You can buy ingredients from traders, but this is where animals come in. Each animal you save in the game. Don't worry, there will be a quest for you to do that and to take the animals and put them in your room, but anyway, after you get the animals, after you feed them, after you brush them, they will give you material every 25 minutes or so that you can use for, well, upgrading and enhancing that stuff in Room of Requirement. Keep in mind that each animal is obviously going to give you something different, so it's always important, if you're gonna be keeping beasts in your Room of Requirement, you will need to keep a few, and also different, well, species, which will give you, again, different items. Don't worry too much about that, because later on you will unlock a lot more place for different animals. But at start, I would just keep, a few. Also, higher tier of equipment allows you to use better traits, so you cannot put a level 3 trait on an epic item, it has to go on a legendary item. So if you see a good legendary item, do not discard it straight away, but rather see if you can upgrade it and kind of fit in your gear onto it. And you also have your desk of description that will identify items you pick up. So if you see an identified item, don't sell it or discard it. See if it's going to be good first when revealed, even if you find those items before you unlock the Room of Requirement. Before we talk about combat, let's go through spells. So spells are divided into a few things, or well, categories, like damage, force, control, and unforgivable curses. Each one of these is useful for something, and combine them, well, like I said, each enemy will have different weakness, so you're gonna be using different spells for different enemies. And you have to go and figure out as well how it is going to work. Again, as I said, go to Bestiary or well, collections and see what each enemy has for its weakness. Also, combat in Hogwarts Legacy can be tricky if you get lost in spells you use or you don't know how to combine them. Combos are a big thing in this game, so for example, if we use Accio on an enemy, he will be in the air, so we follow up with a few basic attacks and then we do another spell, and then more basic attacks and then a spell. This is done so you keep enemies stun locked as much as you can before they fire back. Obviously some bigger enemies you won't be able to use like certain spells on them, but overall everyone has a weakness you can utilize. When enemies do fire back, orange symbol above your head means it can be parried. Red one means it can't, so you have to dodge. If you parry in the right time, you will shield yourself, and if you hold that parry, the one which is successful, your character will follow up with Stupefy, which will either stun or damage enemy depending on your talents. Since you're fighting with spells, keep distance between you and the targets and don't get surrounded. Usually it's tough to break out of it, and I mean, you always kinda have to keep a lookout who's going to be behind your back and so on. You can also use attack plants like Mandrake, Chinese Chomping Cabbage or Venomous Tentacula. They will also kite enemies, or well, enemies will aggro, them instead of you, so you will have some time to breathe and fire back. When it comes to flying, it's pretty straightforward. My advice is, if you are using the broom and not the hippogriff, stay close to the ground so you can go full speed without losing the power of the broom. If you are going higher from the ground, this will deplete and you will be slower. Again, you do have your standard speed, but if you fly low, you can utilize the faster speed, well, basically until you arrive at a location. Next advice is about chests. How do you open a chest with an eye looking at you? Very simple. Use a disillusionment spell or well, stealth without the chest seeing you. Approach it and open it, that's it. Usually they will have up to 500 gold, so it's very much useful, and honestly this chest is not really that smart, so just walk a few steps away from it, preferably behind the wall, use stealth, go back, loot it, that's it. And for the end, advice about picking locks. So once you start picking a lock, you will see two mechanisms. The goal here is to find location of each mechanism so it starts spinning. You will know that again if, it starts spinning. So, first off, we go to the outer ring and you start spinning it. Keep it there when it starts spinning and focus on the inner ring until it also starts spinning. Once both are spinning, hold it like that for a second or two and it's going to unlock. So basically, each lock has these two mechanisms that will have to be in line for it to work. And this is everything when it comes to Hogwarts Legacy Beginner's Guide. Hopefully you learned something about the game that will help you, and remember, take it slow, do things one thing at a time and enjoy. This is not a game designed to be finished in 2 days. And I will do main story until you unlock the Room of Requirement and then pause a bit to do the rest. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like and subscribe button for more, and tell me down below how are you enjoying the game so far if you bought it. And if you have any questions, drop them down below. I will have a review on this relatively soon and I just have to finish up some more things. Of course, check us out on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.